Hi everyone, welcome to episode 2 of our YouTube series Inside the Design Studio. I'm Beth Bieske, the founder of More Time to Design, which is a cloud-based studio and project management platform for interior designers, and the host of the Design Dialogues podcast, which is a weekly podcast where we chat to interior designers and other people who help us run our business. Now, I love systems and processes, but I know that it's a pretty dry subject. But the difference between designers who focus on their systems and processes and spend the time to work on their business, they are the designers who really stand out. They are the designers who have successful businesses that they love. My background is in interior design. I've been an interior designer for 13 years, and before I started working for myself, I was the general manager at Greg Natali, one of Australia's best interior designers. Before that, I was at Blaney North, and before that, I had my own business as a florist. So I have been in and around business my whole life. And one of the things that I have learned through all of my iterations of career is that systems and processes are just so important. So through this series, I'm really hoping to guide you through how to build those strong business processes and systems so that you are able to have a business that you love, that you are proud of, and that you enjoy working in. And most importantly, it's a business that allows you to do more of the thing that you love, designing. So in today's episode, we are talking about value. And the value that interior designers bring to projects is immeasurable in some ways. We not only look at color and spatial design and how it works for a client, but we also act as counselor, hand holder, and really guide our clients through what can be one of the most stressful things they will do. Sometimes we're working with clients who have never renovated or built before, and our role is really to be guide and number one problem solver for them. But how do you communicate that value to a client, especially if they've never built or renovated before? How do you get them to understand how much work is involved in what we do? That is where we need to look at the value that we bring to our clients. And how do we charge for that value? Now, there are lots of things that go into this, but one of the first things is putting together your fee proposal. But before you even get to that, it's really important to know the figures around your business. So to start with, I want you to think about, do you understand how much it costs you to run your business? Not just a kind of back of the envelope kind of number, but do you really know the minimum amount of money that you need to be bringing into your studio each year? The other thing that's really important for you to do before you think about any fee proposals is to sit down and work out how much money you want to earn this year. Not the business, but you as the studio owner, you as the interior designer. How much do you want to take home for your personal income? Because so often designers just kind of wait till the end of the year and get either a pleasant or an unpleasant surprise at their tax return time. And they're like, oh, that's how much my business earned, or that's how much I earn. Having clear financial goals is really important. And once again, those businesses that have clear financial goals are the ones that stand out. So once you've worked out how much you want to earn and how much like the minimum business costs are, you're now going to have a bit of an idea around, well, over the next 12 months, this is the amount of money that I want to bring in. So now that you've worked that out, you're going to have to start to think about, well, how many projects do I need to be doing to do that? And now you're starting to get a bit of a framework around, okay, so that means I need to have X amount of projects per month of this size, and maybe I have a smaller offering, and so I do a few more of those. And you're going to start to look at the pipeline of work that you've got coming in. And filling that pipeline is a whole other topic. But now once you've got the client or the initial inquiry, the best thing you can do is convert that lead into a client. And one of the first documents that they are going to come across in your business is your fee proposal. And so often designers miss so many opportunities around the fee proposal. They just kind of send it off and hope for the best. And then when they don't hear anything, they're kind of like, oh, I wonder what went wrong. So a couple of things to think about when you are sending out your fee proposal. So how strong is the process around that fee proposal? Do you just send it off? Do you provide supporting documentation? So think about a client who has never done a renovation or a build before. Do they know what a concept package looks like? Do they know the difference between concept design and design development or detailed design? Do they know the difference between a construction set of drawings and a conceptual set of drawings? Being able to show your prospective client what these deliverables look like is really going to help them see the value you bring. Having a capability document, which is kind of like a snapshot of who you are, who your studio is, the work you've done, and examples of these deliverables, is a really great way of communicating to the prospective client what it's going to be like to work with you. Now, this is a document that you don't need to recreate every time. You need to do it once. And maybe you have slight variations for it depending on the type of offering that you have. Maybe you have a different example of the documentation set versus for say just a simple kitchen renovation versus a full house renovation. But building out those documents and spending time on working on them is really important. The other thing is, do you send a video recording? Do you present the fee proposal to the client? This really then allows you to kind of answer any objections on the spot. So the client's not going to be able to dwell on them. So often clients, if things are too difficult, it can get really tricky for them to cross the line. So think about the process you have around your fee proposal. One of the other things that I hear when I'm talking to interior designers a lot is around how they actually charge and thinking about the value that they bring. And one of the things that I think is really important as interior designers is we need to disconnect time from money. So those two things aren't equal. It's not just a simple exchange of time for money. What we are really exchanging with our clients is value for money. And that is where, when you start to think of it like that, it really changes your perspective on how you charge. An example of this is, I was talking to an interior designer recently. They had 15 years of experience, and they were talking about how they had gone out and done a paint color consult. Now, the way they presented it to the client was that this was her hourly rate. It could take anywhere between half an hour to a couple of hours, and these were the deliverables. Now, once again, this is where we need to disconnect time from money and value, and it should be value for money. What this designer should have done is she should have said to the client, it is X amount of money. Let's just use the example of $750. It's $750 for an external paint consult. This is the process. There's an initial, on-site meeting. We discuss your requirements, and then I provide a document showing the selections. And there's one review. Now, this designer had been in the industry for 10, 15 years. She said to me, it takes me 5 minutes. I've been doing it for so long. I have a really great eye for color. It takes me 10 minutes. Now, the way she was charging, the client is getting all of the value of her 15 years experience, but not paying for it because they're exchanging time for money. If they were exchanging value for money, it doesn't matter if the designer takes 5 minutes or 5 hours, because it's the value that the client is paying for. And so that's why in this example, having a fixed fee, $750 with those 3 deliverables, and that's what it is. The designer has value and the client is very clear on what they're getting. Now, does the client think that $750 is too much? Maybe, but that's not the designer's problem. That's the client's issue. As you could argue with them, how long is it going to take you to choose your external colors? And if you get it wrong, how expensive is it going to be to fix it? But once again, that comes down to how you show value through your marketing and all of your kind of social media, and how you're warming up the leads before they actually come to you. Really, the way you communicate your value out in your marketing materials should mean that by the time the client comes to you, it's really a no-brainer for them to work with you. If we stick with this example for a little bit longer, so we have a designer that has been in business for 15 years, has great experience and can walk into a room and pick a color within 5 minutes. However, their systems and processes are not strong enough, and so they're not able to take advantage of that time that they have saved by being able to do the thing they do so well. So once again, looking at this example, so instead of having one package that they offer for an external color consult that is X amount of money, they are constantly having to recreate the offering, the package, the invoice, all of that every single time they do an external paint consult. So even though it's only taking them 5 minutes to do the actual task, all of the stuff around it takes so much longer, so they aren't being efficient with their time. This is where systems and processes greatly affect the bottom line of your business. What I would suggest in this example is you could have systems, a process around an inquiry, a templated email to respond, clearly stating the costs and the deliverables, possibly an example of what that deliverable would be. You could have a template in your accounting system, which is just an external color consult template. It's got the figure in there. You're not constantly having to change it. It's just a simple template in your accounting software. Now, already we have saved time around our email response, our deliverables, and our invoicing. When it comes to the deliverables, if we just have a simple template that's our external consult deliverable, we maybe have like an image that we can swap over for each project, and it's literally we just have to fill in the 3 or 4 colors that we've selected. We have one template that we send out. It's quick, it's efficient. It also means that we're not having to think about and recreate stuff every single time we do this. So I really challenge you to think about, what are these things that you do in your business where the actual task you are really fast at because you have those years of experience, but it's then actually the delivering and the execution which you end up spending so much time on. What could you do around those systems and processes to improve that? So in conclusion, what I would love for you to get out of today is your value as an interior designer is so great to a client and a project. You can always tell when there hasn't been an interior designer working on a project. The client's a little bit frazzled, or maybe a lot frazzled, and overall the results are generally not as great as when we are involved. But it's really important that you are charging for the value that you bring, not just the time that you're working on the project. So if you have a think about what are your processes around your fee proposals, and are there some things you could be doing better for that? And the other thing is around, are you charging for time and money, or are you charging for value and money? Ideally, we should be charging for value and money. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I really look forward to seeing you next time for our next installment of our I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing you for our next episode in Inside the Design Studio, Unlocking Systems for Success.